Hi there, I'm Angela Brown, and this is Ask a House Cleaner. This is a show where you get to ask a house cleaning question, and I get to help you find an answer. Now, today's question comes from a homeowner who has a double garage, and there's no room for his cars, and it's full of stuff, and he wants to clean it out, and he has a storage unit that he's paying for, and he wants to take all the stuff from his storage unit and store it inside his garage so it will save him some money. So his question is, how do I go about organizing my garage? Because I'm not very good at it and it's basically just full of crap. Okay, that's a great question. And yes, you're correct. The purpose of a garage is to store your vehicles because that way they're out of the elements and it preserves the life of the paint and the tires and the vehicle itself by not being out in the 100-degree heat and the frigid temperatures of the winter. So having your car in the garage is awesome. Now, how do you get there? How you get there is by having a system. And once you create the system, it's easy to maintain. So the system that I recommend is that you do twice a year and that you figure out like April and October are the months that you're going to clean out your garage. Now, once you do a great big massive clean, all you're going to be doing is maintaining it throughout the year. Then when it comes the next time to clean it 6 months later, all you're going to be doing is just picking up a few things that have been misplaced, putting everything back where it goes and making sure that it's top notch. So how do you get it from cluttered and messy to top notch? Okay, everybody has stuff in their garage and we will argue that we need that stuff. But do we really? Because what happens is when stuff is out of sight, it's out of mind and we forget that we have it. For example, let's say that you need a big bag of fertilizer for your yard this spring. And so you go look in your garage and you can't find any. So you run down to the hardware store and you spend 50 or 80 bucks and you buy a bag. Then when you clean out your garage, you find out that you had 2 bags, but they were hiding under something and you didn't know you had them. That's one of the risks and one of the costs of having a bunch of stuff in your garage that has no system and no place. So if you clean your garage twice a year, that's a system. Okay, so how do you do it? How you do it is you pull everything out. There's really no good way to do this than just to pull everything out and go through and sort everything into piles. And we'll figure out a place for all of the piles. But while you're pulling everything out, some choices need to be made. Do you need this stuff? Do you use this stuff? We need things that maybe we never use. So how badly do we really need it, right? So I was cleaning out my garage, for example, and I had a ceramic tile cutter because in one of the houses I lived in, I laid all the ceramic tile in my floor, in my kitchen, and my laundry room, and the dining room, and throughout my house, and my bathrooms. And so I had this ceramic tile floor cutter. I thought it was a pretty good investment, but the truth is I'd now been storing it for about 10 years, and I'd never used it again. Chances are I'm probably never going to use it again, and I will probably never lay my own tile again. If I move to another house, I will probably buy a house that already has ceramic tile already in it. So I decided to sell that because I'm never going to use it again. Why hang on to it? Why store it? Why have it take up space if I'm never going to use it again? So there are some hard, fast choices that you have to make about your stuff. It was perfectly good. I got it for a heck of a deal, and I turned around and I sold it for a heck of a deal. But the truth of the matter is I was never going to use it again. Bye-bye. Time for it to go. Okay, so you'll be making those kinds of decisions, but what kind of piles are you going to keep? Okay, so one could be seasonal stuff. This could be like a Christmas tree or Christmas tree ornaments, or if you have lawn ornaments that you put outside during birthday parties, or let's say that you have an annual 4th of July celebration and you have all kinds of flags and tiki torches and decorations and okay, so you have stuff like that. That could all be seasonal stuff that's kept in one particular place in your garage. Another thing that you might have a pile for are sporting supplies or sporting goods. This could be skateboards or roller skates or bicycles or golf clubs or hockey sticks, baseball gloves, baseball bats, soccer balls, stuff like that. Every family is different based on what their activities are, but you're going to have stuff. And that stuff needs to be stored properly so that you're not rumbling through all your crap looking for your baseball mitt when the neighborhood has a baseball game, right? You want to make sure you know where all that stuff is. Another thing that is common to keep in garages is food storage. Lots of people will have like an extra refrigerator or an extra freezer in their garage. And so along with that, that's cool if you have that. If you have that, there needs to be a system. How often do you go through and defrost those freezers? How frequently are you rotating the food that's in there? If you have shelves that are lined with cans and bottled goods, how often are you rotating those and going through those so that you don't max out the expiration dates? And so if you do this twice a year, you'll be looking at all that stuff and you'll be updating everything and defrosting those freezers and upgrading the food and eating the stuff that you have, instead of it just building junk and ice that's this thick on the inside of your freezer wall. Then when you open the freezer, you have no idea what's in there. The stuff is expired, it's terribly old, you're never going to eat it again, yet you paid all this money for the electricity to keep the freezer alive and all that stuff that you stored inside that was expensive to buy and store. So you need to have a rotation cycle so that all of that stuff gets processed through. Another area that you might have in your garage is a place for garden supplies. The supplies might be fertilizer, lime, ant killer, hornet spray, whatever it is that you use in your yard or your garden to maintain the outskirts of your home. That might be something that you have so that every time you need fertilizer, for example, you think, oh yes, well, let me go check. And you go to that one spot in your garage and you say, no, I'm good. I have some fertilizer. Just save me $80, right? Okay, so another thing that you might have is garden tools. The garden tools might be rakes and snow shovels and a blower, an electric blower or a gas blower. You might have a tree or a hedge trimmer so that you can cut and trim your shrubs. You might have a weed whacker or a lawnmower or those kinds of things. A lot of big box stores like Home Depot and Lowe's, they sell racks that you can put inside your garage and you can hang all that stuff up on a blank wall. And that way it's up and off the floor. Because one of the systems that we want to create is we want to take stuff up and off the floor so that we're not tripping over it and it's not building cobwebs and dust and little critters and varmints have come in and made nests among it. So if you get stuff up and off the floor, it's easy to sweep. Or it's easy to take that electric blower and just blow out your garage and now everything looks nice and tidy because there's nothing on the floor. So there are different systems that you can create that will allow you to access this stuff that's inside your garage very quickly. And then when you do have vehicles, you're able to pull those inside every day. Every night when you come home from work, you can pull those inside your garage and you can protect your vehicles. And you have a space for everything and everything is in its space. So if you're thinking about upgrading your garage, you're thinking about organizing your garage, like I said, it might take a week, it might take a weekend, it might take a couple of days. You may want to use a vacation day or two to literally pull everything out and go through it. But once your garage is organized, that's an extension of your home. And so now you know where everything is. And if something happens, and let's say a pipe bursts in your house, instead of losing precious time and energy, you run right out to your toolbox because you know where it is. You get the tool and you run in and you fix the leak. So it makes living a whole lot easier. And if you have stuff that's in a storage unit, my guess is you're not using any of that stuff. Otherwise, you wouldn't be storing it. And so if you're using it, use it. If you're not using it, instead of bringing all that stuff home to your garage, how much of that stuff can you actually just sell, toss, donate, or get rid of? There's probably a lot of stuff you'll never use again, and there's no reason cluttering up your garage if you're not going to use it. Anyway, those are my tips and my pointers for today. Alrighty, and until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.